Hey, I got a great question recently asking me about something out of scripture, which ties into our next sermon series as we're talking about a passion for God. And what does it mean that sometimes Christians that we lose our passion for God? And the question was, are there still idols like in the Old Testament? Well, the answer is a little bit tricky. So I want to walk you through it for just a moment so that you really grab what we're doing. First of all, the answer is probably not, in the sense of we don't have people that are making golden and wooden statues and setting them on their table or above their fireplace, and every night everybody pays homage to that gold or wooden statue. The answer is also yes, in the sense that we still have objects and people that we place high value on and live in an essence to please them, or we live in such a way that that mindset or worldview becomes our idol. And what I mean by that is that worldviews are our modern day idol. They always were, because your idol determined, all right, what you thought and how you acted, which meant that your idol was a worldview. And what I want to, let me just give you an example of this. This will be a little easier for you to see it again. Your worldview determines your actions. So I had a conversation just a couple of weeks ago with a friend, and we were talking, and he's a new friend of mine, and he began to speak and say to me that in his worldview, in his dreams, the most important thing that we could do was to care for the earth, which I agreed with. Caring for the earth is a good thing. And he said to me, you don't understand, like, we've really got to get invested, and we've got to create situations where we can use reusable fuels, and we've got to get rid of all this carbon dioxide, monoxide thing. And he just went on, obviously more educated in environment than I am, as one who agrees, but is just big into recycling. And so he's beginning to launch into all this. And I stopped him and I said, tell me why this is important. Tell me why this is a big deal. And he said to me, well, because it's what we should do. And I said, well, I agree. But tell me, why is it, why do we need to care for the environment? I said, I agree with you. I just want to know why you think that. I know why I think that and I didn't say this, but from my Christian worldview, out of the book of Genesis, we're called to care for the entire world. And so I said to him, tell me why you think we should care for the world. And he began to say, well, because it's what we're going to leave for our kids. It's what we should do to care for our children. We're going to leave them a world. We want to leave it the best we can, something that's nice and good for them to live in. And I agreed. And I said, but why? Why should we do that versus something else? Why should we leave something nice for our kids? Again, he thought, and he said, well, because it's the right thing to do. And I agreed with him, but I said to him, but why? Why is it the right thing to do? What makes it the right thing to do versus the wrong thing to do? Again, from my worldview, from a Christian worldview, it's the right thing to do because God commands it. But if you don't follow and worship God, I want to know, why is it the right thing to do? And here's a very interesting fact. Lots of non-believers, or rather believers in other idols, and again, I use the word idols as in worldviews that don't follow and worship God, have often stolen parts of the Christian worldview. To care for the earth is part of the Christian worldview, but this person has no basis for it in their worldview. They just think it's the right thing to do, which is really where we come to the crux of the argument. And he said, what's the right thing to do? And I said, well, who decides what's right and wrong? And he thought for a while, and he goes, well, I think I get some of it from my background, and I applaud my friend here for thinking this. He said, that's probably from the Judeo-Christian worldview background. He said, but ultimately, I think I do what's right and wrong because I feel like it or I believe it. And I thought that was interesting. He recognized that he steals values from the Christian worldview, the Judeo-Christian worldview, but is unwilling to submit his worldview and his thinking to the Christian worldview, to God. Probably because he doesn't want to live into the morals that God has brought about, which, let's be honest, very few of us do, but we do because why? It's true. Therefore, we do because we like truth over a myth or a lie. And so I said to him, yeah, but if you determine what's right and wrong, if you ultimately have become kind of like a God, what's to say like what I believe isn't different, right or wrong, in what you believe, if right and wrong is determined by you? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, let me give you an example. If Hitler had won in World War II, would it be right to have killed all the Jews that he did? And he said, well, no, that can't be. And I said, well, help me understand. According to your worldview, it would be, because right and wrong is determined by the individual. He said, well, no, it's determined like by the community as well. I said, well, therefore the Nazi community would have been in power and would have been the one to say, yes, this is right and wrong. And quite honestly, at that point in time, anyone who disagreed, they would have probably just killed, right? And so again, I said, well, who determines what's right and wrong? How do we determine that? Now, our conversation about ecology and caring for the world moved into a conversation of philosophy and theology and how do we determine morality, which is where almost all conversations eventually end up because our decisions are based on what we think is right and wrong. You see, this person now has an idol. Their idol is ultimately themselves in the sense that they are the God who determines what's right and what's wrong. Their worldview about what they determine what is right and wrong has set them up as a God, and they have become what the Old Testament would call an idol. Now, they don't set a picture of themselves on the table or on the dresser and bow down and worship it every night, but he lives very passionate about something that he should be passionate about, but has no real basis for his passion. In the sense of his passion for something that he should be passionate about, caring for the earth, was all based on what he felt. Now, I wish I could tell you this was an isolated situation, but so many people I know, so many people I have conversations with, ultimately have become idols. Their worldview is an idol. And so many people steal from the Christian worldview to maintain some sense of morality and values, but yet do not want to claim Jesus as God. In fact, don't want to have a conversation about Jesus. Because why? Because when you stack up their worldview, their idol, to Jesus, one of them is going to fall in a hurry. And then guess what you get accused of? You get accused of being intolerant. Oh no. Now, we shouldn't be bullying and we shouldn't be forceful helping people see their idols. But we do need to explain and give examples of how God is unique and why God is unique amongst all the other gods. That includes our idol worship of worldviews, where I can pick and choose whatever I want to be right and wrong and make that my God and my standard for living. I become God because I choose morality and I define what it is. Now, in a world where we're constantly faced by that, as Christians, one of the challenges is how do we keep our passion for God? One of the ways that we do that is to focus on the uniqueness of God. You see, one day this person will pass away, and then his morality will be gone. And maybe the morality of his children will be that which is similar to his, or maybe not. But this person is terminal. He's finite. He's locked into time. He's locked into his ability to influence others' beliefs and his material body, which will one day be gone. You see, the God we serve isn't locked into time, isn't locked into material, isn't bound by all the things that bind you and me. And his morality is eternal. And quite honestly, whether or not you and I like it doesn't impact God's morality. It doesn't make something that's true untrue just because I don't like it. If that were the case, I might jump off the roof tomorrow and say, hey, I don't like gravity, and then I can fly. But again, my desire for the way God has ordered the universe and whether I like it or not isn't impacting the reality or the truths of the universe. So do we still have idols? Absolutely. They're usually in the minds of people, though. Not something as easy to identify. Not something as easy to confront at times. This is why Christians need to get skills and learn skills to ask right questions, to gather tactics in which we can engage the world and the conversations about us. And say to people, because so many of us live with this Eastern philosophy that I determine what's right and wrong, and ultimately I become God, that we as Christians need to say, that's actually idol worship. Now, maybe that's not the correct phrase to use with a person, but that's what's really going on. And the first step to helping someone overcome a problem is helping them identify the problem. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. Hey guys, I hope that helps you. I hope that answers your question. And I invite you to tune in this Sunday as we talk about what it means to be passionate for God in a world where we often lose our passion. Have a blessed day, guys. Bye.